Well, it's Tuesday Wrestling, and you all know that what that means. That doesn't just mean we're going to be reviewing NWA Powerrr, AEW Dark, and NXT. We even have the last day of CML and New Japan with Fantastica Mania. I have to say, it's been a fantastic tour with these guys. Seeing both interaction between New Japan stars and CMLL stars working together, collaborating, doing all that is a lot of fun. And of course, seeing some wrestlers that I enjoyed watching, such as Místico, Atlantis Jr., Ultimo Guerrero, Volador Jr., wrestlers that I grew up as a kid watching this promotion, seeing them as a child, and it's a lot of fun. So I think I really enjoy that. But also we have some news updates regarding more of the GCW and many other things, and not to mention, I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's just get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, I don't know if you guys can hear it. It is raining outside, and it's going to be interesting. Let's get started with New Japan Pro Wrestling with the last day of Fantastica Mania. This one just took wrestling back in Korakuen Hall. This is their second day in Tokyo, but this is the last official day. We see CML being in New Japan, doing this amazing tour. If you guys know this, they do this for a long time, but since the pandemic hit, they were unable to do this show, and now it appears it happened. This is their opening match. We have Capitan Suicida, which translates to Captain Suicide. Don't ask me why he called himself that. Teaming with Young Lion Yuto Nakashima, taking on Kosei Fujita and Magia Blanca. Now, I have to say X factors of this match. As you know, both teams do have, let's just say, the Young Lions in both sides. Of course, Kosei Fujita and Yuto Nakashima, but their partners are two wrestlers well known. Well, I know, I don't know much about these two, Magia Blanca or Captain Suicida, but they're excellent wrestlers. But the ending of this match ended with Yuto Nakashima applying a Boston Crab onto Kosei Fujita and forcing him to tap out. This is more of a sweet, bitter revenge by Yuto Nakashima in his way. As you know, there are many of the Young Lions who are not happy with the attitude with Kosei Fujita since he was decided to align himself with TMDK. Apparently, he's not doing a lot of the work. He's just being all lazy, being that he's a big shot. So it looks like he got himself into what the Young Lions wanted. Next up, we have singles match action. It's been, we haven't seen that much throughout the entire tour except for the previous day. We have the Hijo de Villano 3 versus Tiger Mask. Now, Hijo de Villano 3, he is the son of the legendary Villano 3. Of course, his grandfather is also a wrestler. But this feud between them happened throughout the entirety of the tour. Villano 3 being the heel that he is, removing Tiger Mask's mask, trying to start a little feud with him, a war. And of course, Tiger Mask was not going to tolerate a guy like him trying to disrespect him. Not to mention who is the 4th generation wrestler to take over the Tiger Mask persona. But, however, you probably would have thought that Villano would have gotten away with it. No, you cannot, count out the experience of Tiger Mask when he applied the Tiger Suplex. 1, 2, 3, it was done just like that. So this feud is officially over. They even shook hands, they hugged. It's done. Next up, we got the members of LIJ consisting of Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Titan, taking on Rohi Oiwa, Satoshi Kojima, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and of course Reiko Meta. Now, I have been a fan of Reiko Meta when he was in AAA, when he was part of a faction known as Real Fuerza Aérea, which means Real Aerial Force, which means they're like high flyers. The guy used to have a mask, and now he's like sort of dressed up in an Indian type outfit, or like Tonto. That kind of thing got me going, and everybody wore the paint face makeup. But that wasn't enough to stop the LIJ. As you know, LIJ is one of the most dominating teams and more popular teams in factions in New Japan. But it was, of course, Titan who picked up the victory when he applied El Inmortal onto Oiwa, giving the LIJ the win. Next up, we got, of course, another singles match. We got Okumura taking on Dulce Gardenia. Now, this match was set from the day before between them. You probably would have thought Okumura, who is not only native of Japan, who's been living in Mexico for decades, that this will be his home field advantage. However, Gardenia is trying to prove who he is. If you guys don't know, Dulce Gardenia, he is an exotico, which means he is a homosexual wrestler, that sort of thing. But that doesn't bother me. You probably would have thought that this guy would have gotten his butt whooped by a veteran like Okumura, but nope, it did not. He applied one of his submissions called La Coqueta, putting him away once and for all and getting respect from him. Next match, we do have another singles match. We have Hechicero versus Soberano Jr. X factor of this match, Soberano Jr. might have hurt himself from the previous nights. If you guys remember, he had a title match against Titan, which he lost. Titan put him away by applying a submission move, and I thought it was pretty interesting. But not, however, it was, of course, Soberano with, I couldn't tell if it was a ankle lock or leg lock onto Hechicero to force him to tap out. So that was very interesting. Now, our next match, we have El Desperado, Templario, and Volador Jr. taking on Master Wato, El Barbero Canavero, and Ultimo Guerrero. Now, some of you may question, why would Master Wato participate in these events? He's been doing it since day one. If you guys know the history of what Master Wato, he was a young lion himself who went on excursion to Mexico, and that's where he was for the past 2 years until he made. So basically, Mexico will always play a part of his heart since he's been there. I thought it was very interesting that he appeared teaming up with two wrestlers, but of course, this was one of my favorite matches that I got to enjoy because excellent high flying, that's what I like. But however, in this case, it was Volador Jr. with a Canadian destroyer onto Barbero Canavero. That sealed the deal for his team to pick up the win. I thought it was great. I loved it. Our main event, of course, we have Atlantis Jr. taking on Místico. Atlantis Jr., he is second generation wrestler. I'm a big fan of his dad. As a child growing up, I was like enjoying all his matches. Even though I don't know if he officially retired just yet, but if he did, then good for him. He takes on a wrestler who has made a big name for himself in Mexico for a long time, Místico. But you guys may know him as the original Sin Cara when he first arrived. But seeing him there, he put himself through the test. But however, you cannot count out the veterancy of Místico, who's been around the block, especially being one of the best wrestlers coming out of Mexico. He put him in an armbar, forcing Atlantis Jr. to tap out. Now, as soon as the match was over, apparently they put out a interesting promo, and they're saying that they're willing to come back next year because that is something they've been doing for every year, but we did not have them for almost 3 years, being since the pandemic. So it's great that we get to see them. I can't wait for next year. So let's move on with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr. It opened up with Kyle Davis at the podium interviewing La Rosa Negra. Now, Rosa Negra had some big announcement she wanted to make. If you guys remember clearly, we had not too long ago the Champion Series, where the wrestlers are determined to, how do I say, cash in their opportunity for any title of their choosing at any given time. Well, La Rosa Negra was a last minute replacement. She actually was part of the winning team, Team Rock and Roll with Kerry Morton. She cashed in her Champion Series and she issued a challenge with someone that she's familiarized with, and we're talking about our current NWA Women's Champion, Camille. So basically, these two go way back from when Camille was a trainee, and now it's like things are coming full circle before them. So we're gonna see how much endure. Now, keep in mind, this is nothing personal for Rosa Negra. Now she knows that she is going to face someone she had dealt with before, but how much has Camille has grown since then? That is a good story to watch, so I can't wait to see that. We do get a very interesting interview with none other. No, our next match, our opening match, we have, of course, Father of Psycho Love, along with Angelina Love taking on VHS. Yes, folks, VHS. That's a weird name, but um, this was one of those matches where you can tell, okay, Father's now displaying who he is. VHS, he's just a jobber, in my opinion, the way he is, so we can know more about him. But Father, on the other hand, put him in a psycho slam and put him away in 1, 2, 3. It was done just like that. Now, May Valentine, as you know, interviewed EC3 and Jordan Clearwater. Now, it seems that right now Church's money is, in fact, Black G's. Looks like he seems like he's stepping away from Austin Idol Sports Management. The Idol Sports Management, apparently they're building something. So basically, Clearwater seems like he's going to join them or something. That's pretty much what we can tell. Now, our next match is part of the qualifying match for the NWA Women's World Television title. We have Kylan King and Kenzie Page. Now, many fans would probably assume that Kylan King, who is the biggest individual in the promotion and well known throughout the wrestling world, will pick up the win. But I thought this match was definitely going to be cutting corners because of Kenzie Page as a member of Pretty Empowered. But however, nobody from her crew were there. Neither was her sister, neither was Roxy or Ella. But she was able to apply a cutter to put away Kylan King and put her in a qualifying match. Now, keep in mind, recently we did saw and now said where Pretty Empowered lost the tag titles to Renegade Twins. They tried to get it back, but failed again when another Champion Series was cashed in. Now, it appears that we're seeing issues between both May Valentine and Aaron. Seems they're trying to go through some sort of therapy session. I don't know if that was a good idea, but of course, I thought it was so funny, but it's kind of interesting. Now, we do get a little closed interview with Joe Galli, who talks to none other than the masterpiece, Chris Adonis. Now, Chris Adonis was part of the Champion Series. He even was part of the winning team, Team Rock and Roll. He now issued a challenge for the next pay-per-view on the 3-1-2. He said that he's willing to cash in his Champion Series winning and issued a challenge to Tyrus, our current NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So that's going to be interesting. We're yet to determine if Tyrus will accept it or if Billy Corgan will make it happen. Now, our final match, we have Bully Ray versus Mike Knox. This is a way where Mike Knox will have to be the one to stop Bully Ray from getting closer to Matt Cardona. But however, things did not go well because apparently they tried to wipe him out. And of course, Matt Cardona pushed Mike Knox too far until he decided to chokeslam him through the table. So that means anything that possibly the Cardonas are now imploding. So we'll see what happens next week, but also in NWA USA if they decide to talk more about it. So I think that's pretty much it right now with NWA. I believe it's time for AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark. Opened up with Tony Deppen taking on Action Andretti. Now, this is one of those matches where, of course, we've seen Tony Deppen had some good wins since arriving in AEW Dark. However, my theory is that maybe he is one of those wrestlers that could be potentially the Tony Khan is really interested. But he has, I guess, Action Andretti, who's been making a big impact since he pinned Jericho. And I think that's one of those moments where we have to see, okay, how these two competitors go. Now, keep in mind, Tony Deppen is a fantastic wrestler. Don't get me wrong, but Action Andretti has a much bigger stardom than him actually. But that's how it plays out. But it took only a few times in order for a perfect moment until Action Andretti can apply his running shooting star press. That's like his main weapon. It took many times for him to try to lay down Tony Deppen, but Action Andretti got the job done. It wasn't easy, but he got it done. Next up, we got Evil Uno versus Jay Spade. As you know, we've seen Evil Uno with a new attitude. As you know, he has stepped up his game. We all know Uno as a tag team specialist, but since then we have seen him now stepping up as a singles competitor. And of course, he finished off Jay Spade with Something Evil, giving him a good win. Next up, we got Parker Boudreaux taking on Joe Ocasio. You can guess that one did not go well for Ocasio. He ended up penned by Parker Boudreaux. Next up, we got Captain Sean Dean taking on Invictus Cash. Another tough competitor. Captain Dean, as you know, he is part of the main roster. Not main roster. This is not WWE. Part of the roster, as you know. And he always impresses us every single time. Even though he may not get the much bigger moments, but at least he still continues to shine in some ways capacity. But it took only a while until he finally applied his finisher to deal, and it was over right from there. Next up, we got Layla Gray taking on Sahara 7. Pretty good match, not to mention growing and growing and growing. But we weren't sure about how this match ended, if it was a triangle lancer or something else. Because I've seen the triangle lancer a few times, so it was almost similar to it. I wasn't sure, but yes, it gave her a good win. Next up, we got Willie Mack versus Joe Keys. Willie Mack, who's been well known in the wrestling business. I have to say he could be a potential wrestler that Tony Khan could sign, but we'll just wait and see. He did pick up a good win against Joe Keys when he applied the big diving splash, and boom, 1, 2, 3, it is done right from there. Next up, we got Shane Taylor versus Adrian Alanis, another guy we know. I'm sure we'll probably see him in Ring of Honor, but he did pull off at least his finisher, the package pile driver, and it was done right from there. Next up, Lee Moriarty versus Vari Morales. You probably can guess this match ended with, of course, a pinfall by Lee Moriarty. It was over right from there. This match, as you know, we have, once in a while, we have matches where wrestlers we don't know. We have seen these guys before on certain occasions. We have Arjun Singh versus Blake Lee. Not much to tell, but I have to say it was a pretty interesting. Arjun Singh, who was impressive, and I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, but really impressive. He applied a running knee strike to put away Blake Lee. Next up, we got everybody's Chicago favorite girl, Sky Blue, taking on Dream Girl Alley, who I haven't seen for quite some time. But you can tell that this match was going to fall into favor with Sky Blue as soon as she applied the flatliner, putting her away. Next up, we got the Trustbusters, Ari Daivari, Slim J, Jeeves K, and Sonny Kiss, taking on the combined forces of Top Flight, Dante, and Darius Martin. R.A. Fox, and Matt Sydal. I have to say, that group is amazing. They should form a faction. I mean, they work so well together. I think all four of these guys should definitely. I mean, what do you guys think? If you guys haven't seen that match, go see it. I have to say it's pretty amazing. But it took only a nosedive for Dante Martin to put away Slim J. I have to say, very impressive match. I think this is one of my favorite ones. Next up, we got the most hated group of them all. Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh taking on Jackson Drake, Jay Malachi, Dasha Kala Malachi. What the hell? It's Malachi. And Oliver Sarge. You can guess that this match in a old school matter by Jeff Jarrett when he applied the figure 4 on Jay Malachi and it was over. But however, Tony Khan did a little interview at the end saying that they will be the next tag team champs. They say they don't care. It doesn't matter who's going to be the fourth. If I were you guys, it should matter because you may never know who is the biggest threat. Who will be coming for those tag titles. Even if you think you took out the Best Friends or the Acclaim, that doesn't make no difference. Because the fourth team will be the one team you definitely need to be more worried about. I mean, imagine if it's, let's say, for the sake of the argument, even though they're not in it, let's say if it's the House of Black, then you should worry. That's how I would think. Now, our next match, we have Peter Avalon versus Dean Alexander. This match ended with him applying a martini. And in a post-match, as you know, he's going to be in a match against Jericho on Dynamite. This is payback for what happened last week, if you guys remember. Ricky Starks put an open challenge for Revolution. Peter Avalon stepped up to plate saying this is his time. But Jericho, who was a bit shocked that someone actually did step up, he did not take this too kindly and decided to give him the Judas effect. He called him the heavy metal hedgehog, which I thought it was funny. So this time he said that he's going to pay it in full. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, during this last match, this one, if you guys have been hearing, when Ring announced Ring of Honor is back, well, I just saw the new set. They used it as part of the AEW Dark. We have Workhorseman, Anthony Henry, and JD Drake taking on Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. I have to say, really awesome match. I think, as you know, I've always talked about how unique wrestlers are. Like Danhausen and Orange Cassidy are one of those unique wrestlers. But I have to say, nevertheless, it was a good match. It took only a death punch and all this stuff, but a double chokeslam by Cassidy and Danhausen to put away Anthony Henry, and that was over right from there. But I have to say, the new set of Ring of Honor is pretty good. I can't wait to see it. Reminder for everyone, this Thursday, if you guys already subscribe to Honor Club, Ring of Honor starts on Thursday. So I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW Dark. It's time for our last review, NXT. Okay, NXT, as you know, it opened up with a very interesting opening. As you know, Wesley issued an open challenge for the North American title. You see many of the NXT stars brawling outside, try to get to the ring. Who will be the one to take the opportunity? So basically, Lee's like he's watching the madness that he caused, realizing, yep, you messed up, but he's trying to find out, okay, come on, guys, one of you has to step up. So it was like that, and then until you saw Kato, who actually was there, he seems like he was about to make the challenge, but his moment was ruined, all thanks to none other than Apollo Crews, and then Nathan Frazier shows up. So that kind of sets in a lot of things. I just was very impressed by the whole thing. The match was amazing between Frazier and Lee. Hands down, good opener. But it only took a cardiac kick for Wesley to retain the title. But nonetheless, he has proven time and time why he is a fighting champion and why he needs to tell the doubters to shut the hell up. Now, as you may know, Brooks Jensen is still dealing with a broken heart over Kiana James. So Josh Brooks tried to be a good friend, to cheer him up, get over it, that sort of thing. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, our next interview, as you know, Hank Walker, he was one of the few people involved in the brawl, but he hasn't forgotten one thing in particular, and that thing is how Charlie Dempsey steps on him and how Drew Gulak left him. But he had to deal with one particular person, Axiom, so later on they set up a match. Now, our tag team match we have is Briggs and Jensen taking on Indus-Sher. Now, you probably ask yourselves, is Jensen 100% after his little heartbreaking? Well, you can say yes. So, basically, he lost because of that. It took only a lariat by Sanga to put away Jensen. But they issued a 6-man tag team match in the share along with Jinder Mahal against the Creed brothers and the partner of their choosing. Now, let me explain two parts of that particular thing. Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen, so he's basically trying to get him to cheer up and all this. So, we don't know how things will go between Kiana James and that, but it tells a good story. But, however, the Creed brothers have to find a third person to join them. So, they kind of ask the one person that they hate for this, and that is Damon Kemp. You know, it's like this. Brutus is willing to swallow his pride. Just ask. As for Julius, you know he hates Damon Kemp. He hates him. So he tries to okay. But he knew that this was going to happen. However, Braun Breaker shows up. And of course, Brutus is happy. But not to mention, he's like saying, he's really pissed. Because he's like saying, we could have asked him first. And it was all part of the plan. Come on. And of course, I think this is going to be a good match. You know, seeing these three together. Now, we did see how things went for Nathan Frazier while he was about to do an interview. Something else happened. Now, if you guys remember a while back, we saw Nikita Lyons was viciously attacked. The obvious question, who was behind it? No one stepped up. Then here we go again, but this time the latest victim was Wendy Chu. Now we don't know what is the significance between Wendy Chu and Nikita Lyons. Now later on we did see Katana Chance and Kaden Carter who've been helping her after they got hurt. I mean they do have a good friendship. Apparently she's going to be out for quite some time, and once again Tiffany Stratton decided to say, oh, nobody cares about Wendy, once again being that little center of the attention, that sort of thing. But they set up a match a little later thanks to Katana Chance. Now, Gigi Dolan, as you know, we've seen her came back with a vengeance against Jaycee Jane, as you know. We saw what happened a couple weeks ago when Gigi Dolan got her head kicked in through the door. And now Gigi Dolan's saying that, you know, she is going to kick her ass. And I think we're going to see a really, as Jim Ross would say, a slobber knocker of a match between these two women. So we're going to see that. I'm sure this will take place in Roadblock. Now, as you know, Chase U are dealing with a predicament with the Schism, who are saying their way is the true meaning of life, that Chase U University is nothing more than a fraud. But Andre Chase is going to deal with Joe Gacy personally, so we'll see how that goes down. Now, our next match, we have Meiko Satomura taking on Zoe Starks. Now, Zoe Starks, who's been really pissed off knowing that Meiko Satomura gets a title shot before she does. So she asked why. Why Meiko Satomura? Well, we all know Meiko Satomura is legendary in the wrestling business. That's why she is called the final boss. So basically, it's more like Meiko is going to put Zoe in her place, which she did when she applied Scorpio Rises. But not to mention, during the entire match, Roxanne was there watching. As you know, it's gonna happen. Their match is gonna take place at Roadblock. Now, our next match, we have Sol Ruca taking on Elektra Lopez. Now, to make this a little interesting, it was reported recently that Sol Ruca, apparently the NXT WWE officials are really high on Sol Ruca. That means it's a good thing that she is rising to the occasion. Many fans like her, really love what she does. So this match could be one of those where we're going to keep on talking to her. Now, however, Elektra Lopez, as you know, always cut corners by using the brass knucks. And she had Valentina Feroz right there watching. But when things seems like Elektra Lopez was about to take matters in her own hands, Valentina Feroz actually took the brass knucks until Sol Ruca applied the soul snatcher, putting her away, giving her a good win. But however, Valentina Feroz had enough of Elektra Lopez, whacked her with the brass knucks. So it's like, enough is enough. That's it. Thought it was a great moment. Now, our current NXT Tag Team Champions are dealing with the predicament. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, history is repeating itself again. Now, if you guys never seen NXT UK, then I'll tell you. Those who have, then you know the story. Back when NXT UK was still in operation, the Gallows Boys were in fact the tag team champions of that. They were the NXT UK tag team champions until they lost those belts to Pretty Deadly. So basically now it feels like, how do I say, history could be repeating itself again. Now, this is the last thing that Mark Coffey wants, is to let this happen again. After that brutal beatdown they had a week ago. So that's the whole thing. So Mark is trying to get Wolfgang to get pissed off as much as possible so they can avoid what happened. But however, during an interview, the Pretty Deadly were right there watching, saying that it doesn't matter because their match is going to fall in their favor. Of course, Drew McIntyre said that he knows that the Gallows Boys are going to win because they're not going to let this happen again. But of course, Pretty Deadly is not really concerned over that. Now, our next match we have is Katana Chance versus Tiffany Strand. Things could have gone well for Katana Chance, but out of nowhere we saw Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. We don't know why they showed up, but I mean, I know they were dealing with Tatum Paxley and Ivy Now. It doesn't make no sense what's going on. But however, Tiffany Stratton, in the other hand, took out Katana Chance with the moonsault, and then after that, picked up the win. Then later after this, she put out a promo saying, you know, that it doesn't matter who walks out between both Meiko Satomura or Roxanne, she will be the next person to challenge for the NXT Women's Championship. So basically, this is how I see it. If Roxanne walks out, she's going to criticize her that someone like her shouldn't be the champion. But we don't know for sure. There's someone who was questioning this. Could Tiffany Strand be behind the attacks? Well, we don't know. Now, our next match we do see is Axiom versus Hank Walker. Hank Walker really put out every aggression out on Axiom. But, as you know, Axiom being calculated that he is, put him through the test in every turn. It only took one golden ratio to put him away. But Axiom told him that this is the Hank Walker that needs to come out. So he's praising him, saying, be this Walker. So I think Walker really appreciates that, knowing that he put him through the limits. So hopefully that's the case. Now, interesting developments. As you know, recently Grayson Waller has been causing nothing but problems with NXT since losing to Braun Breaker and that steel cage. He would stop at nothing to get what he wants. So he is demanding to have a little talk with Shawn Michaels, feeling that he deserves the respect. Now, Shawn Michaels didn't do nothing wrong, but it was Grayson Waller who burst into his little moment during being interviewed was the problem. And then later, this and that continue to piss off Shawn Michaels. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our main event, we have Carmelo Hayes versus Tyler Bate. Now, Carmelo Hayes, as you know, he would stop at nothing. As you know, since losing the North American title, he didn't know what to do since then. Either regain it, but he decided, okay, I'm going to go for the NXT Championship, which is something that he knows he can get. So he feels that he's the chosen one. Tyler Bate, take a backseat. That's how he sees it. Tyler Bate, he's there to just do the one thing he could do is win the NXT. It's more like who is the chosen one. But of course, much of the match, you're going to see Trick Williams getting involved. He did that twice, but it only took one shot for Carmelo Hayes to put away Tyler Bate, and that was it from there. So the obvious thing is, when will this match happen? The only thing I do believe this could take place at Stand and Deliver during WrestleMania week, because we're not that far off from that. That is the possibility we could see. So I think that's pretty much it with every review got with NXT mostly. Now it's time for some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. First things first, we want to give a congratulations to Stardom's very own Hanan. As you know, Hanan has been going to school and working in Stardom who knows how long. But the congratulation is she just graduated from high school. Yes, folks, you heard me correctly. She just graduated from high school. Don't know what her plans are. I'm sure she's going to attend college and whatnot. But yes, as you know, high school girls do attend school. While there are some girls in Stardom that still attend schools while they're in them. We have that with Rena. We read that with Hina. I forgot who else, but it happens. Don't worry about it. Now, our GCW updates of today. We have, as you know, we got some things coming up from the collective. First things first, for the culture, they announced this could take place on the 30th of March. Willie Mack will be there. Don't know yet about his match, but however, we do have a match that was announced. We have the West Coast that will be, which is a group led by none other than Kenny King, versus the World led by Shug D. Shug D. If you guys don't know who Shug D is, you may remember him as Pineapple Pete. Yes, folks, Pineapple Pete is still wrestling. Trust me. I wasn't sure yet, because since his timing with AEW as an enhancement was short, but thanks to Jericho, who gave him like that whole thing, he was pretty much happy about that. But now, yes, he's wrestling independence. I've seen him in New South Wrestling, which is a promotion based out of Alabama, I think. But yeah, so he will be in a kind of, I don't know exactly what to call it, is the West Coast versus the World. So Shug D will be the captain of the World, while Kenny King is the captain for the West Coast. Now, this one I was surprised to hear that this is going to be part of the collective involved with GCW. There's a SoCal promotion out here called the Santino Brothers. I met many of the wrestlers here in my hometown of San Diego attending Level Up. They will be having a show on that particular day on the 30th called California Love that is part of the collective. And they just recently announced for one of their matches on that day, we have Chi Cabrera taking on Willie Mack. So basically, this is one match that I did not know about. Hopefully there'll be more announcements of this particular show for the collective. For all you Lucha Libre fans out there, you may have heard Negro Casas will be coming. It's now been announced that he will be in the match at the World on Lucha on the 1st of April. he will be facing against Tony Deppen. This is going to be an interesting match. I'm like, Tony Deppen, he is talented, but he's facing a legend. I'm sure he's going to insult him, saying, go back to Mexico, old man. I'm sure that's the story he's going to tell, but we'll see. Now, non-related to the GCW collective, we have announcements for some other things, such as Myron Reed has been announced that he will be returning to GCW. He will be making his appearance at the, what show is it? Oh yeah, on the 16th of April for Red Means Green. So it's great to see him back. And then of course for the Into the Light, Hijo Vikingo will be returning as well. There's still no announcement for who will be his opponent. And then finally, for the Orlando show, Scene of the Crime, that takes place on the 22nd, we're going to have Masha Slamovich making her appearance. So stay tuned for more of these updates with GCW. We'll go from there. Now, Dramatic DDT has announced a very interesting debut coming from Tokyo Yoshi Pro. This Yoshi wrestler named Touga will be making her debut on March 6th. Her opponent will be none other than the Pink Striker, Miyu Yamashita. She is 168 centimeters tall. She's only 20 years old. Not much about her, but we'll see what happens then. We do know that Shino, who is the newest member of the Up Girls, will be making her debut as well soon. Her color will be green, in case anybody asks, because we have those color things going on with the Up Girls over time. But yeah. Now, an interesting post-match comments by Okumura. He talked about the relationship between both CML and what's their name? Oh yeah, and New Japan. This is what he had to say. This is kind of very interesting of what he was talking about. Not to be offensive or anything. Where's that? This is what he had to say. During this difficult time, there were people who said a lot of things. The relationship between CML and New Japan is no longer what it used to be. The relationship's over. The bond between the two groups is over. No. New Japan didn't say a single word. The audience reaction. The audience cheers. That's all. What does this mean? I mean, look. We haven't seen interaction between CML and New Japan since the pandemic happened. How can they say it's over? It's not over. I mean, that's the problem. You see, both companies, I know, New Japan and CML, they do have a good working relationship. There was never any indication since then that how do I put this? That the relationship is over. Nothing was ever said. So I think Okumura is questioning, where is this thing coming from? And I have to agree. New Japan didn't say anything. Neither is CML. They never said anything. So that's the thing. So I understand what Okumura is talking about. He feels that people are saying things that it's not true. But we'll see what happens. If there's anything that changes between those two, then we'll find out. Now, related news coming up. As you know, we're almost getting to 300 episodes with ChocoPro / Gatoh Move. It was later announced that the Asian Dream Tag Team titles will be defended on episode 300. So it seems like it really is going to happen. But it later was announced that Masahiro Takanashi and Chi will be in a match this coming Thursday. So I think this is going to be like a bit of a preview before 300. So stand by for that. I'm not sure about Sayaka or Chris Brooks. I'm sure it could happen either on $299 because this match will take place in $298. But yeah. Now, if you may have heard of this promotion base that was created by Beyond Wrestling called Wrestling Open, they have announced for a wrestling tournament that will take place on March 9th, a 16-man tournament, and this is for the Wrestling Open Championship. So yes, they're finally going to have a title. It's kind of interesting that they've been around for a very short amount of time, like maybe I don't know if it's less than a year. I'm not sure, but they're going to have a title. They haven't announced yet what's going to happen, but we'll see. Interesting developments for the upcoming Prestige Wrestling on the 29th of April for Roseland 5. AEW star Daniel Garcia will be making his debut. So if you guys are fans of Prestige Wrestling, check it out. Interesting thing, if you guys are from the New York area, if you're big fans of House of Glory, for the upcoming With Glory Comes Pride on the 10th of March, Funaki will be there. If you guys remember him, he was the #1 SmackDown announcer. He will be there doing a meet and greet. I'm not sure if he's still with WWE. That's the thing. I haven't been keeping up with him for quite some time. And I think that's pretty much it for our news updates. But yes, I think that's it for now. So let's just call it a day. Well, hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have AEW Dynamite, but however, we got the first ever All-Star Junior 2023 Festival, where we're going to see a lot of junior heavyweight competitors from different promotions. This will be distributed by NJPW Live on Demand. If you guys have that, you're golden. I can't wait to see many of the junior heavyweight competitors that I may or may not have heard of. I mean, I may know competitors coming from New Japan, All Japan, Noah, DDT, Dragon Gate. I think that's pretty much it. But if there's plenty more, I'm gonna be happy about it. If there's any other wrestling shows I'm definitely gonna be reviewing, I will put those. So I'll see you guys on the next episode. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.